We're here today to talk about an unusual lady. I'm Charlie.
And I'm Cory.
And this time on Turntables Tea, we are going to be discussing Cyndi Lauper's She's So Unusual, one of the biggest albums of the 80s. And the reason we chose to do this was because I had the opportunity to attend the Girls Just Want to Have Fun farewell tour in Virginia, and it was a really fun show. She sounded great, and she did half of the songs on this album, so I thought that's a great time to talk about She's So Unusual.
Yeah, what a great time. So awesome to see her still rocking out and doing it, even if it's the farewell. Just a beautiful, with all due respect, piece of Americana, like legitimately, like timeless.
Absolutely. And fans of a wide variety of ages made it out to this show. So that definitely says something about the durability of her best songs, I think.
That's awesome. That's really awesome to hear.
Yeah, and she sounded great.
Hell yeah. Because some of them aren't. I'm not going to name names, but some farewells are not doing too well on the sound, on the vocal sound, period. But
yeah, I think she's doing it at the right time to say this will be the last tour. She has said she's not completely retiring. She'll still do some stuff, but it doesn't have to be a tour. And I think that's smart, especially while you do still sound good. I think that's the best time to do it.
I agree.
But actually, we have to go back to 1983 today. Because that's when this album was released, funnily enough. Now, this is her debut album, but she wasn't completely new to the industry. She was in a band called Blue Angel. They recorded an album in 1980, and it didn't do well. But she kind of just was in the shadows for a little bit until she got signed to Portrait Records and got new management, and she got to work on this out. She's So Unusual, and it was recorded over the summer of 1983, and they spent all that time finding just the right songs. Some of them were Cyndi Lauper's own compositions. One of them here even dated back to her Blue Angel days. And there were a few covers and songs from outside writers. You might be surprised to find out some of these songs were covers, but they were. But regardless, Cyndi Lauper made every single one of those songs her own and made herself associated with them, even on a Prince song, which is saying.
Yeah, debut album. I'm so enthralled about how quickly she networked inside of just Hollywood, inside of pop culture, period. And it's wild because, you know, we this is her debut album. We talk about Blue Angel, but from what I read, it really seemed like even during that time, people were like, hey, come solo. And she was all about the band. And then when that broke, she said, I'm going to do this on my own, and did nightclubs in New York and, you know, caught the eye of whomever it was and went on from there. But I mean, this album being debut with Prince on it it's such an iconic piece. It really is.
Yeah, and of course, she had an iconic image for herself. This album cover is iconic, shot on Coney Island by Annie Leibovitz. It's one of the most legendary images of the 80s. Like, just the bright red hair and the fishnets, it's so distinct that you knew something unique was in there.
Yeah, and that uniqueness bled over to one of my favorite fandoms, other than Star Wars, that everybody always hears about. I'm a huge wrestling fan, and she was a big part of the WWF in my formative years, like 6, 7, 8 years old. That unique personality and unique, iconic image really shined through in that format. She was there for quite a long time, and not the way you would see celebrities throughout the years have these hot flashes in the pan. She was around for close to, I believe, 8 years inside of the WWF. She was very unique in that manner.
Yeah, she did give Captain Lou Albano a shout out at the show, because that was a big part of the iconography early on.
Dude, good for her. It's so hard to imagine them outside of their characters, the way I grew up with them, but just to see the way that they interacted with each other, whether it be on the screen or in the eye of the photographers. You could always just see a bond between the two of them that I loved so much. That's awesome to hear that she gave a shout out to Captain Lou on that.
Yeah, because, well, it was a big part of the upbringing of this, so to speak.
Yeah. Not to be on WWF all day, but Captain Lou brought her in because part of his persona was he was taking credit for her musical career as part of his heel bad guy persona. So he brought her onto the show to be like as his trophy achievement, which was, so I have goosebumps right now. So much nostalgia inside this album period for me.
Yeah, and I have nostalgia for it too, because growing up as a child, I just loved the 80s. But weirdly enough, I remember the first time I saw a photo of Cyndi Lauper. I don't know the exact year or date, but I remember I was in Target and they used to have the Scene It games, and Music Scene It had just a row of artists on it, and there was this one lady with the red hair, and she just stuck out so much. And I did ask Mom, who is that? She said, that's Cyndi Lauper. I thought, okay. All right, but it was one of those things. It's like you weren't gonna forget.
Yeah.
Look, and she was like next to some country singer, but she just stuck out like a sore thumb. It's like, I'm gonna remember this one right here.
That's cool. If you're gonna remember somebody on that box, it's gonna be her.
Yeah. But then, of course, she has a lot of connections with Cher, having opened concerts for her. They've been great friends, so I found out all of that. And I used to go to the North Point Flea Market in Dundalk with one of my friends, and I would buy cassette tapes, because those were a bit cheaper than the CDs. And this one was there, and I was like, yeah, I'm just going to pick this up. Mostly, I don't think I'd even heard any of these songs consciously, but I was just like, something's gotta be here with this image alone. And of course, here we are today, this one.
That's an awesome story. And think about the cover art period and just grabbing you when you see that cassette tape, because this was a cool cover too, it had her front and center on it.
Yeah, I mean, it won a Grammy for Best Recording Package. Yeah, but this was nominated for Album of the Year, actually, and it did lose to Lionel Richie's Can't Slow Down. That's now known as, though, one of the bigger missteps in Grammy history, just because it was such a stacked year. I mean, I know two of the other nominations were Purple Rain and Born in the USA.
Jeez, a whiz.
So, yeah, very stacked year for releases. It's pretty widely accepted that the Grammys got that one wrong in terms of choosing Lionel Richie over some other titans, frankly.
Just say it. Just say Purple Rain.
Yeah, Purple Rain most specifically, but
that's crazy. For her debut album to be in the ranks of those other three artists is pretty wild.
Yeah, I think the other one might have been Tina Turner, Private Dancer.
Ooh, man.
I think so. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah, no, she got in there with her debut, and well, Madonna didn't. They both debuted the same year. And they got some comparisons, of course.
Wow, heard that.
But Madonna didn't get there. And it was interesting, though, how the comparison in some way makes sense, but at the same time, I think just listening to this album, I don't quite get it. I think they're both pop albums, but I think they were going for very different sounds.
Yeah.
Because this is so new wave influence. This is very new wave classic pop influence, whereas Madonna was far more like disco and R&B funk, her early stuff at least. She went in other directions beyond that, but those early songs that she was doing, I think they were both evoking different sensibilities, so to speak.
Most definitely.
Yeah. And I mean, she built a legacy pretty much off of this album. She was able to keep going after that, and she's gone in some weird and wonderful directions since then, actually. Which I really respect her for.
Yeah, and never lost who she is. As maybe it's just, hot tea take. Looking at her and saying, oh, she's got to be like a wild child. Well, a wild child, yes, but like a problem child or something like that. Never so. This isn't a controversial person. dare I say, one of the sweethearts of America, whether they knew it or not, inside of so much, but never lost who she was throughout of it. I always respected that.
No, most definitely. And she still got it. Like, she still has the voice that got her there, and she still has the personality. She's a girl next door from New York at the end of the day.
Yeah, we'll talk about it throughout, but I mean, part of that uniqueness is this voice, and she's not afraid to use it in every which way, but it has such a unique tone to it that it's unmistakable.
Oh, it definitely is. And this album not only Grammy nominated, also commercially successful, of course. It sold over 16 million copies worldwide, 7 times platinum in the US. And it made it to only number 4 on the Billboard 200, but it stuck around on the charts for a while. It was in the year end for both 1984 and 1985.
Yeah.
Because it had some longevity, these singles did. And it was ranked as one of Rolling Stone's greatest albums of all time. First off, back in 2000, and it was pretty low on the list. It was 494, but the revised edition moved this all the way up, 84. But I think that was part of the revamping, and some new voices were included in the making of this list, and I think it spoke to this album's that really speaks to this album's continuing influence. Because we're seeing Cyndi and the pop girls of today. Still, I think.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. Even listening to some of these songs and thinking, are these lyrics too dated to be relatable? I came up with the answer no, which is neat. There's a very awesome longevity to this album in particular, and it speaks to her being an icon.
It does, and I mean, just look at Chapel Roan. I see a lot of Cyndi in her, influence-wise. Now that I think of it,
yeah, I can see it. I'm not going to give her as much there, but I can see that.
I can see the influence. I'll say that.
The influence, yeah. That's wild. That's something I never thought of.
Yeah, I see the influence big time.
She sure as hell ain't the Cyndi Lauper of our generation, or this generation, but I can see the influence.
No, I wouldn't say she is, but we'll see where she goes, I suppose.
We'll see where she goes.
We will see. I'm curious to see where she goes, but we're not talking about Chapel Road today. We're talking about Cyndi Lauper, and I'm ready to dive into this bad boy.
Yeah, let's get at it.
So this album begins with Money Changes Everything. This song is a cover. It was written by Tom Gray and recorded by the band The Brains, and it was a single, but it wasn't a hit. But Cyndi Lauper made it a hit. It wasn't the biggest hit off this album, but I think it's a perfect album opener, actually. And I think it fits with the vibe presented just on the cover, because she's in a thrift store getup. She's not flashy. She's a little grungy, but that's the point. And she's singing, like, it changes everything, and, like, just don't be so obsessed with money. And that's a message that will always ring true. But it fit the 80s very well in the yuppie Reagan era, and it fits today as well. But production-wise, there's no mistaking that this is from the 80s, but it still sounds fantastic. And I really like this as an album opener.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like the fact that you said for an 80s album, because it does. It looking back in a critical stance, it has the 80s all over it. I think even more so, it's a great opener. Maybe I'm reaching a little bit, but it's a great opener because this is what Portrait said. Here's your first song. It's a cover. It's sort of a duller song. And what are you going to do with it? And she went and made it her own and really stuck the landing right here on the first. So if I'm a new listener back then, I would imagine maybe I know the song. And if I do know the song, I'm hopefully blown away, but I'm at least intrigued enough with this new sound of it to give the next track a try. So I think this, as an opener, really stands on its own and does the job.
Most definitely. And at the show I went to, this one was towards the end of the set, but it was cool that she brought her opener, Jake Wesley Rogers, out. He wasn't an artist I was familiar with, but I do love that she used her platform to showcase a younger artist. I don't think many artists of her era would do that. In fact, they haven't done it, frankly. Let's be real here. I've seen quite a few of them. They haven't done it, but Cyndi did. I really respect her for that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, particularly a young queer artist. I think that was, which is very much part of her brand. So I really appreciate her for doing that. And, I forgot to mention that Rob Hyman of the Hooters plays on this song.
Dig it.
Yeah. Forgot to mention that. But it was I think, third or fourth single in the UK. It was the fifth single in the US, so released at different times. It only made it to 27 on the Hot 100, but I think that's a case of enough people had the album at that point. They didn't need to buy the single.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're 5 singles deep at that point, and 4 of them are non-stop radio play.
Yeah.
At the very least, whether you bought the album or not.
Yeah, you were hearing them regardless, and well, the next one you're still hearing, whether you want to or not. Girls Just Want to Have Fun. So this song was written by Robert Hazard. He performed it throughout the Philadelphia area, and he wrote it from the male perspective initially, which is insane to think about, but that's how it started. However, the producer, Rick Chertoff, brought it to Cyndi Lauper, and she decided to make this a more feminist song. Which makes sense, because why would you? It was a smart idea to do that, of course. She wasn't afraid to sing from the male point of view, as we'll find out later in the album, but for this particular song, it was decided, no, we need to flip the switch on this. And well, obviously the rest is history. This was the album's lead single, the song that introduced Cyndi Lauper to the world, with a video featuring Captain Lou Albano, early MTV staple. Now at this point in time, this song is so ubiquitous that it's not a song I seek out. It just is not like something I think I really, when I'm at home or something, like, it's not what I seek out. But comes on when you're out, never mad to hear it. Never ever. And it's so emblematic of its era, but it's just a strong song at the end of the day. Not every song has held up this well, and it's her signature tune. It is pretty crazy to think this is not one of her 2 number 1 hits. It was number 2 behind Jump by Van Halen, another great song.
And a great video.
Yeah. So that too, but it just goes to show you what a stacked era this was for pop music, that Girls Just Want to Have Fun was not a number 1 hit, which is a little hard to believe. And even at the show, of course this was her encore, but she had the audience singing a good bit of it, because it's their song. It's our song.
Yeah. It is. That's a awesome way to end that thought. It's everybody's song. It's not just a girl's song. It's just one of those natural songs. Maybe it's the nostalgia in it for me, but I don't think so, because of the longevity of it. It's a quality tune. I'll go a little bit more critical, because I agree with everything you said, as far as its accolades, and as far as I don't seek it out, but I do enjoy hearing it whenever I hear it. Critically, musically, it's very sound, and not only is it sound, but it really starts to take itself seriously inside of this 80s sound with this xylophone, marimba. I'm not actually sure the instrument. It sounds like a wooden xylophone, but it brings that childish or the childish fun level to the subconscious listener inside of this composition, which is so strong. Just another reason why it stays around so long. But for me, it really invokes fun, period. I have never really gotten the girl, like, you know, like I've never really felt like it was a girl's song, even though it's girls just want to have fun. It has always invoked that fun in me musically, and I've always loved it for that, and I can still say that from a critical standpoint. As the second track here, the energy's high, and it's wild to see the studio give her another cover here. But by this point, they know she's knocked it out of the park. It's a perfect number 2. You get an opening where you're not sure who she is, and a cover that she does well, but you get this second strong outing, and it really propels this album to keep going forward as far as a first-time listener goes, in my opinion. It's a great one. It's a classic. There's nothing really bad to say about it. Captain Lou in the video was awesome, man. And it's one of those videos. This is one of those songs where I can never not see the video when it comes on. So thank you to MTV for that. But more so, thank you to Cyndi Lauper, Captain Lou, and that whole entire crew. I mean, it was a huge production. Lorne Michaels gave her the okay to use his studio. Like it was a huge production, but such a timeless time.
Yes, but it's funny you say the energy is high, because we are going to slow things down a bit with a very notable reinterpretation. This song is When You Were Mine. This is the Prince cover. And at this point in time, Prince had just broken out. This is right before Purple Rain and after 1999. So he was, and this song's from his Dirty Mind album, which does not have big hits on it. Admittedly, the songs are not radio friendly just because of the lyrics. However, I believe this is the second song on that album, and it's a almost like rockabilly style kind of tune. And this one she made into a synth ballad. And that was a smart decision, because there's a lot of longing in the lyrics of it that I wouldn't say it's not on the Prince version of it. However, because it's pretty upbeat and you don't fully, I don't know, I think she brought out some more pathos in it, which I respect her for doing. And she did not change the lyrics on this song, which was a pretty bold move for this time period. And as I said, this song is from an album called Dirty Mind. These lyrics are a little racy, not the worst on that album. There's much raunchier. This was the most appropriate song to cover, actually, probably. We're going from that one. However, I first heard the Cyndi version, and I imagine a lot of people did too, because it was just on a bigger album, because Dirty Mind didn't get more attention until after Prince really broke out. But I've always really enjoyed this song. Obviously, I'm a big Prince fan. If you've been listening, you know that. But she did make this song her own, and I think the way they rearranged this one was brilliant, and it was definitely a concert highlight for me to hear this one live.
Yeah, and I can see why, especially you loving Prince and having knowledge of the cover. This is a grower for me, and even knowing the song that it came from, I think that hindered it, because there's a little bit too much sparseness of her in the beginning of this song, and it takes me out a little bit. But once she gets rolling on this, we get to see her true, so far on this album, we get to see for the first time, in my opinion, her true range of her voice, where she hits the highest note she's hit so far on this album here, and she really does make it her own and makes you feel this song. I won't say makes you feel this song like the way you feel the Prince version, but she does, and I give it so much love that she didn't change anything, because that was risque, especially on a first album, with the studio saying, okay, we're doing covers here. It seems like there was a propensity, in my opinion, for this to not stick the landing, because now we're getting a cover heavy first side. But I think this was a solid choice for the third cover in a row. And it works out well. In my first opinion, first listen, it took the album down too slow for me, but I now say that I was being too critical because it has grown on me, especially in a composition form. It's I mean, I wouldn't expect anything less from Prince and Cyndi Lauper, but it's definitely grown and doesn't necessarily take the tone of the album away like I thought it did at first. It's a good one.
Yeah, and it's definitely a testament to Prince that he made a strong that he made a song strong enough that it can withstand this kind of reinterpretation.
Yep, that's a great point.
But this is not entirely covers or songs from outside writers. Next up, we get the first Cyndi composition. This one was co-written with Rob Hyman of the Hooters. It's Time After Time. One of the greatest love songs of all time. We all know it. It's Time After Time. And this one was a number one hit, as it should have been. And I mean, this one's become a standard. I know she noted in her memoir, which I read quite a while ago, that this song's been covered by over 100 artists, and she was just so proud to have written a song that essentially has become a modern-day standard. And it's a permanent piece of pop culture, of course. I do often think of Romy and Michelle's high school reunion when I hear this song, because it plays a part in that film. But it's just such a callback to so many things. And even if it was played comedically, it worked in that sense, but it's also a sincere song. And Cyndi Lauper's not a soul vocalist. We're not getting Aretha Franklin here, but she sells this song completely and just knocks it out of the park. And you hear every single bit of emotion in her voice. Like, she takes you on a journey vocally with this song, and that's a big part of why it's come back time after time, for lack of a better word. It's really stood the test of time, and it's the least 80s sounding song on here, probably, which I think has helped it remain popular. But, I mean, it's Time After Time, man.
I couldn't have said it better. I don't know if anyone expects this of me or whatever, but pardon the language, this song is my shit. It has always been my shit since I was a little kid. This is one of a few in the class of, in my opinion, and even this late in life, critically going through this song is a perfect song. This song invokes so much passion, and one of the coolest parts for me with this song is that musically, when we're brought into this song, we're brought in almost on a spoken word vocal. And I say that because we sit in just about 4 notes in all the way to the first refrain. I say 4 notes, it's around 6, but there's 4 main, and we really stay static in this ultimate crescendo of a love song. And it's not until we start as a male and female voice calling out and saying, I'll find you, that we get this beautiful musical opening with this almost the crescendo, the end of the crescendo each time, and it's stunning. It's stunning. It is the least 80s sounding song. That's a great point. And I never thought that until you said it, but it just shows it's a timeless, perfect piece. I could talk about this song musically and it's not intricate. I won't use the word intricate. It's not what you would expect if I'm talking perfect musicality, because there is, I'm trying to word this correctly without doing it a disservice. It's not hard to play, I guess, is the easiest way to say it. But it's so perfect that I literally could talk about it for hours. I love the composition. I love her voice on this. didn't even talk about it, but at the end of side one, this is the end of side one to her debut album. And holy Jesus, I'm flipping this over. And I did as a kid, but I'm flipping it over immediately. I freaking love this song.
Yeah.
I can say it a million times over.
Yeah.
There's so many points that I've missed. I get excited talking about this song. It is that song.
Yeah, this one, her doing this one live was pretty awesome. And you could tell everyone was just touched to hear it, because it's like, this was the put your lights up song for the show. It's like, yeah, of course, because it's time after time.
Yeah.
And the video was great too. A little cinematic, bit of crying from Cyndi Lauper, but another classic 80s video.
Yeah, man.
But we are flipping it over, and it's a good thing we are, because we are definitely switching gears with the next track, which is She Bop. And this is the most controversial song on the album, because it's about female masturbation. And that was not well received by all. This song was actually put on the Parents Music Resource Center's the 15 list, which was inspired by Prince and Darling Nikki, first of all. And it was put on there for being too racy. And in her book, I do remember Cyndi writing, I was really saddened that it was put on that list, because I wanted to write a dirty song that would go over the heads of kids. Because there were songs like that when I was a kid. I wanted to invoke that feeling of the songs that ended up being dirty the whole time, and they weren't, from when I was a kid. And she did it. I mean, this is a very fun, catchy song. And if you are a child and you don't know what that means, like, you think she bop, okay, she's just bopping her head, like having a good time. Because that's what you're gonna think when you hear it. I mean, if you don't have that understanding of the world yet, but it's always been a very fun song, in my opinion. This was a pretty cool set opener for the show. Some confetti coming out and She Did, and we go right into She Bop. And another iconic single, understandably overshadowed by the two iconic singles we've already discussed, but this was a huge hit. This made it to number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100 and top 10 in Australia and New Zealand. So, I mean, it's such a fun song, and it is wild to me that people found this offensive, because it's so tongue-in-cheek. I don't think you can be angry at this song.
Yeah, I don't think you could be angry at it. I'll start with this thought of the controversy on it. I think you get away with this song if you don't make the video. The video had the video. I'm not even going to say tongue in cheek. The video just went blatant reference. Yeah, it was hidden Easter eggs, but like, if you look at it, like, the gas pumps were like X, double X, triple X, like mayonnaise bottle. There's all types of ones in there, but I really do. I think if you wanted to do that, then don't make this video. End my old man rant on that. I really do. I have a tough time with the raciness until you get to that video. I really do think she could pull it off. It's a fun song. It is a fun song. I will say it was always a skip for me when I was a kid. After time flipping the record over and getting here was like, ah. And I look at it with older eyes, and I look at it with older ears, in this critical sense. It's not a terrible song. It's fun. It really is. It just doesn't hit. It doesn't land right for me. I'm not big on the like old Western whistle sound, the sample. It doesn't wow me like the rest of this album so far. And even when I try to give it the benefit of the doubt, it still doesn't wow me. It's not a terrible song. It's not my least favorite on the album or anything like that. It's not. I don't think it's my gun to the head but its caliber is not on the level that we've experienced for the first half of this record, and it's sort of a miss for me.
I mean, I do think this song's not for everybody, and I would say I definitely would call it the campiest song on the album.
I would agree with campy.
Yeah, because there's a lot of that in this song's delivery. And I do want to note, this song was put on that list like a year after it was a single and a video.
That's what I'm saying. Like, until people started talking about it, the video, I feel like, you wouldn't have had that controversy. You let that just be a side B first track, you're good. And the people who know can know. But I feel like, I don't know. I just feel like if it wasn't out there in everybody's eyes on MTV, that it wouldn't have hit as hard.
Yeah, and the song honestly probably would have been a hit without the video because it's a very catchy song. And, well, the next track was a hit without a video. Actually, this one is All Through the Night. This was written by Jules Shear, singer-songwriter, who he put out an album. It was produced by Todd Rundgren, did the original version of this, but it was a more acoustic number. And the Cars actually recorded this, but didn't end up using it as a demo. Yeah, they didn't end up using it. But Cyndi Lauper used it and turned it into a synth ballad definitely closer to the Cars than the original one. And I love the Cars, but I'm glad this one ended up with Cyndi Lauper. I don't think Rick Ocasek or Benjamin Orr could have brought the drama that this song needs, and Cyndi Lauper does, which I'm very happy for. This is another beautiful song. It's a synth ballad. This one is like Time After... I feel like it's a bit of a melding of When You Were Mine and Time After Time, actually, now that I think of it. And yeah, I've just always really enjoyed this one. It's a very 80s song, but I love how that's part of its charm. This was actually not on the set list, which I was a little surprised by. I wasn't too offended by it, because she still did a lot of other good songs, and she's a great performer and engages with her audience. So it's a minor quibble for me for her to have not done the song, because she has a strong enough catalog. She's got other stuff to choose from. But yeah, this is a great one. Always has been for me.
Yeah, it really is great. We get another beautiful ballad here. And I say, okay, I understand why She Bop was there, but instead of repeating the same mindset, we get this really beautiful, I shouldn't say even as a synth ballad. I'm not trying to knock on synth ballads, but as a synth ballad, it has this really awesome, sweeping, peaceful feeling to it. And it doesn't repeat the same intensity of Time After Time, in my opinion, musically. And I think that's another reason why it shines so bright on its own, but more so on this album here. It's another favorite of mine. And I really am just happy to not see redundancy at all up until this point. Still until this point, we haven't really repeated anything. And I enjoy that, even though we had something that could have ended up very similar and one of our marks for redundancy on an album. So this is definitely one that does its job here and brings me back into the album. Even as a kid, that I'd rather start on track 2 of side B than track 1. That's young me. That's not my critical stance anymore, but that's how it was back then. I would start on track 2.
I mean, that's valid. I can't blame you. I'd want to get to this one as well, especially after Time. I can see what you're saying there, Ken. But you're absolutely correct. Every song on here has had a unique sound to it and is sticking out, though they all stick together still. But now we are going to switch gears a little bit again with Witness. This one was co-written with John Turi, or I might have mispronounced that. I'm sorry if I did. They wrote that when they were in Blue Angel. It was not used for the Blue Angel album, but it was revived for this album, and I'm glad it was. This wasn't a single, but it's a very catchy song, and it's got a slight reggae feel. If anything, this song sounds like it's a Police song, and that's a good thing, because that's not the easiest sound to replicate. And it's still her own composition, so I don't feel like it's a ripoff in any way, even though I hear the homage from the Police, but I feel like it's Cyndi Lauper does the Police, and I am not mad at it, because, again, you can't go wrong with... I don't think you can go wrong with a good Police song.
I don't think that's a hot tea take. I don't think you can go wrong with a good Police song.
Hot tea take. It's... Regardless of what you may think of Sting, you can't go wrong with a great Police song.
I heard that. I don't think you can go wrong with Witness either. I think there's such a strong showing here, because we really get flipped on our heads genre-wise. My notes have reggae in them. My notes have Police in them, believe it or not. But I also get a little bit of ska here, and I dig it.
Yeah.
And that ska-ness of it, we didn't talk about the instrumentation of Blue Dream, but there are, is that the name of her band? Blue Dream, right?
Blue Angel.
Blue Angel, I'm sorry. Blue Angel. There were horns. And this is a song that lends itself to that mentality. I always enjoy this. And in my critical new listening of it, and another fandom that we've spoke of before, and I couldn't find it ever happening, but Gwen Stefani should do Witness, man. It would be dirty. It would be dirty. So if you're listening, Gwen, I couldn't find it. Maybe you already have, but get on it.
I don't think she has, and actually wouldn't be a bad idea. Stop what you're... I don't like what she's doing now anyway. Go back to your roots and...
Yes. Call the boys if you have to.
Please do call the boys, Gwen.
Yes.
I don't actually ask for much. I do ask for Gwen Stefani to call the boys and stop with whatever she's doing now, because I don't like this new shit.
There we go.
I don't like it.
No Doubt reunion album and first song, Witness.
Yeah. We need some... Yeah, we need to go back in time. Get back to your roots. Because she'd kill this one, actually.
Yeah, most definitely. The whole time I'm listening to it, like over and over again, critically, I'm like, I start searching. Has Gwen Stefani ever done this? I can't find it. I'm just like, how is this not... Somebody has had this thought like Gwen. This is perfect. So, anyway.
Yeah.
A good one. They have so many similarities between them, in my opinion, regardless.
They even have somewhat similar voices, I would say.
Most def.
So
I told myself I wouldn't go down this rabbit hole. It's for another day, but yeah, they're very similar in a lot of different ways. So it would be cool to see.
I agree with that. But next up, we get another Cyndi composition. This one is I'll Kiss You. She co-wrote this one with Jules Shear, who wrote All Through the Night, and very 80s sounding. It almost punches you in the face, those synths. But the Genius annotation of this song noted that it was kind of a play on Love Potion number 9, and when you look at the lyrics of both the songs, it makes perfect sense, actually. I hadn't put that together until preparing for this episode. I was pretty shocked to find that out. I enjoy the song either way. I've always thought it was a very fun one, but I like it even more now that I know that, because that's clever.
Listeners can't see, but my mouth is agape because I'm blown away. I didn't see that in any of the notes. I dig that, and now I am intrigued to go back for more. Wow, that's a cool thought. It's an 80s tune. You hit that nail right on the head. This is punch you in the face 80s. I dig it. There are places in this song where I get a tad bored. She'll bring me right back in, but and it's crazy because I look at them both, this and She Bop, and they both have that rolling synth bass, like bum 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 bum, and I wonder if that is what puts me off. That the jury is still out on if that's the exact reason, but there are pieces in places in I'll Kiss You that are just a tad bit boring for me. Not a terrible song, and it doesn't take out of the album at all. It keeps up the pace. It actually does really well after Witness, and this is, in my opinion, one of those cases where it shines a little bit better because it comes out of Witness. But we still get that iconic Cyndi Lauper in it. That's just me nitpicking, but still a great song. I haven't done much on pacing throughout this album, but it's flowed pretty seamlessly, minus one little misstep in my opinion so far.
Yeah, and I do think a song like this, I think her voice elevates it just because there's so much personality and she sounds so fresh at this point in time that even a relatively weaker track can be enlivened by it, which is something I really appreciate about this album, because you hear all that energy that she had at this point in time, and you can't redo that.
No, that's a really great point. It is a freshness.
Yeah, it was a new thing, and she even brought it to a song from 1929. This song is called He's So Unusual. It was performed by Helen Kane, who was the inspiration for Betty Boop. It was written by Al Sherman, Al Lewis, and Abner Silver. It was in a film called Sweetie. And she did a shortened version of it, 45 seconds only, but it's a play on the title. That's where they got it from. She's so unusual. She's putting herself out there as a unique new artist, and this is part of the appeal. This is something that sets her apart from the rest of the crowd, because you're not going to get this on an album from another pop star that at this time. You're not. Like, now I was thinking, like, in general, but now I was thinking, no, Lady Gaga could do something like this, but 1983, yeah, you're not going to hear this on an Irene Cara album. No disrespect, but...
No, I'm with you. I think it's genius because, one, Betty Boop was still super relevant, if not hit her highest point in her icon status, but it's literally Cyndi Lauper voice. Like, it's perfect. It's playful. It lets me breathe for a second. It's penultimate to the album, but it's perfectly put because it gives me, we talk about all the time, it gives a palate cleanser here, a chance to laugh, a chance to feel a jovialness here, and then we go right into this closer. It's a cool piece. I laugh every time it comes on, and it's so, I respect it so much where it is on this album.
Yeah, and it goes right into the closer. It's almost like they're kind of the same thing, which I respect that decision, but the final track here is Yeah, Yeah, not a Cyndi Lauper composition that was written by Haas Huss and Michael Rickfors, who Michael Rickfors was in the Hollies at one point, actually. And they wrote the album closer, and lyrically, this song's pretty redundant, which I don't love. It is and it isn't what I'm looking for in an album closer, because as an individual song, it's definitely not as strong as some of these others here, even though it's got elements of the cover, which I appreciate, and it's a lot of fun to listen to. Don't get me wrong. But earlier on, I think we got more brilliantly written songs. I do love the male backing vocals and call and response in this song. That's part of what makes it fun to listen to, but it does work as a closer for this album because of how it connected to the He's So Unusual cover. It's like we're taking that and bringing it into the 80s. In terms of that, it works, even though it's not really a song individually I would seek out a ton. Let's just say that.
I agree. They're and I meant to say this before, but I give respect for them giving He's So Unusual its own track. But they're a package deal, and as a closer, without He's So Unusual, I don't know if this fits. And we always talk about the closer sometimes being important to show where you're going to go. And I don't get that here. This is a fun song, but I don't think we get later Cyndi Lauper out of this. I'm pretty much with you. I give it the benefit of the doubt as a closer because of its connection inside of the album, but it's not the strongest closer ever. It's a cool song. It's fun. It's super 80s. I can see why it was chosen for the way out. It has a bit of a play off the stage feel to me as far as a composition goes. But yeah, it without He's So Unusual, it doesn't really make sense as the closer.
Yeah, and it didn't really show where she was going with the next era because, well, the next album was True Colors, and this does not sound like that song at all.
Yeah, it had more, I know they're all different times, but it had more of like a sound of like a B-52's weirdness, or maybe even some Talking Heads off the wall kind of feel to it. But it wasn't where she was going, as we can see now.
She definitely moved away from the new wave influences of bands like that after this album.
Yeah.
And she changed with the times.
Agreed.
We'll say that. And the commercial results of that ended up being a bit mixed, but you know what? She's always stayed true to herself, which is something I respect greatly about her.
I'm still on that 100%.
But this is the end of She's So Unusual, and just what an album, what a entrance. I don't think we've actually covered that many debut albums on this show, but that's because it can be hard to be as fully formed as she was here.
Yeah.
You don't get that in a lot of debut albums. You just don't, but she came out of the park knowing who she was and sharing that with everybody. And she created a classic album. I mean, whether you listen to this or not, at least two of these songs are ubiquitous to this day, and they're not going anywhere, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
So, what's your grade for the album?
Cyndi Lauper, she's so unusual. She's unusual, and in all the right ways here. It is if not one of the strongest showings I've ever seen on a debut album of personality and uniqueness, but we run the gamut of covers to fully fledged songs of her own, and it's seamless. It's seamless, and it's fun. It's intriguing, and it's new. There's a freshness to it, even to listens this late in life. You know, I've had that album for so many years, and it's still fresh. That's an achievement in itself. I will say, pacing wise, for me, the flub is the opener of side 2, but it's not a glaring giant flub. It's not something that I even think that a lot of people would agree with. It's just my opinion on the pacing of this album. There's not much negative to say here. And so when I'm doing my grade, this has to. I feel like I've been giving a lot of them out lately, but we've been doing some great albums, but this is going to be an A for me. It's almost an A+. She Bop takes it out of the A+ category for me, but it's very close. I will have to say that this is it's just such a well-rounded, iconic album. I'm taking iconic out of there. It's a well-rounded debut album that never stops having fun with itself, and just like the lady who recorded it, knowing exactly who it is, and what its job is. So it's an A for me.
Yeah, this is an easy A for me as well. I mean, we've been covering some good ones, because I think there's some that we just end up missing that we wanted to talk about because we love them.
Heard.
That's what happens when you do this, because just other stuff comes up, you know? But, I mean, this is an iconic debut. I'm really glad I got to see her perform, because there were a couple times I almost did, but it didn't end up happening. Like a festival she was going to be at that got canceled.
Yeah.
But now I got to see her, so it's like cross that off. And very happy that I got to. And I really... this album almost threatens to overshadow the whole career. Like, it's so easy to pick one album wonder, because nothing was ever quite as big as this one. However, what I really like about Cyndi Lauper to this day is the fact that she did take chances after this. She used what she did here. She put on 2 songs that will make her set for life, frankly, and she followed her muse. She's gone in so many different directions. Cyndi Lauper has a blues album. She has a country album. She's got singer-songwriter albums. She's ran the gamut, and I have so much respect for that. And she's able to do it because of this album, and I think that's a pretty cool legacy to have.
Very well put. Very well put.
Favorite track?
You already know. Time after time. I could sit here and try to be like, oh, this is cool, and the new lesson, and this is a grower. Nah. Time After Time is, like I said before, one of a class of perfect songs, in my opinion.
It definitely is a great one. I'm gonna go with When You Were Mine.
There you go.
I mean, two artists I love coming together. I can't say that's not my favorite.
Heard.
And it helps that's what you don't hear as often, too, because that was only a single in Canada and Japan, not in the US. So, because I do like the non-singles here very much as well. Want to make that clear.
True.
Yeah. But now, if you've been listening to us for a while, you may remember that we did an episode about Katy Perry's 143, which it's now been almost a year since that album came out. It was a wild ride, that album. But, the era's not over, because this year, Katy Perry has been on the Lifetimes tour. And it's coming to Baltimore, and I will be going, because I was able to find tickets that I was willing to, at a price I was willing to pay with decent seats. And this tour, just following it online, has been a bit of an experience, to say the least. Hopefully no butterfly prop malfunctions happen at this tour stop, but you never know on the Lifetimes tour. And we won't be discussing 143 again, of course, but it is a good time to dust off Teenage Dream, which I can't believe this, because I still remember so much of that era so clearly. That album just turned 15, or is about to.
Wow.
So, and obviously we're going to be hearing some of these songs. I saw her quite a while ago, but yeah, I'm going to the Lifetimes tour. It's definitely going to be an experience, and I want to share it with you, the listener. So I'll be back to share it all with you. And so you're prepared for that, you won't want to miss our look at Teenage Dream. Just subscribe and follow us wherever you're listening. Leave us a nice rating and review, and follow us on social media.
Peace.